It appears the indefinite suspension of MPP Chairman Paul Afoko was brought about by his own indifference and lack of regard for advice from elders of his party.
Paul Afoko took office, he decided to brush away all the materials that the other officers or other chairmen had already built. And even people who were working as laborers in the party, he decided to ask them to go away. That did not augur well. So some people like us had to call Paul Afoko to say that, hold on your fire, because if you come into an organization of this nature, you need to seek advice.
The Council of Elders is saying Afoko's refusal to heed advice and honor various calls on him to deliberate over party concerns was leading the party into a ditch.
I myself, I thought, he said, he didn't come. He just was indifferent to everything. And we believe that the only way we can do this matter is to let the disciplinary committee take it up upon themselves. But he can't go to the chairman he can't be judged in his own case.
Well, so now the elders of the party are firmly in support of the decision to kick Afoko out. But how will this aid the party's unity and agenda to snatch victory from the NDC in next year's election? Critics say the MPP is at a crossroad, but the elders say this is just a storm in a teacup and would have no impact at all on the party's fortunes. Is that the case? This is today's big story with me, Stephen Enti. Now, it appears the back and forth with the suspension of Paul Afoko as chairman by the National Executive Committee of the MPP is gaining momentum as elders of the party have all with one voice stood behind the decision. We spoke to Mr. Suleimana Yeremia earlier today, who is one of the petitioners who petitioned the National Executive Council and the Disciplinary Committee of the party to suspend Afoko.
There are a number of issues that compelled me in particular to take up this matter to the disciplinary committee. Our constitution provides that if there is anything that disturbs you or you are not satisfied, there are channels, there are avenues, there are structures of the party you can seek redress.
That's right.
Fortunately, I have been privileged to belong to the National Council of the NPP, as well as a member of the Council of Elders. Immediately after the elections to select our national executive, there were certain things that were happening in the party which we thought initially that they were teething problems. Utterances, actions. For instance, immediately Paul Afoko took office, he decided to brush away all the materials that the other officers or other chairmen had already built. An example is the administrative director. He asked him, now that he has come into office, he would want to dispense of his services and probably bring a new person. And even people who were working as laborers in the party, he decided to ask them to go away. That did not augur well. So some people like us had to call Paul Afoko to say that, hold on your fire, because if you come into an organization of this nature, you need to seek advice.
So would you say that this was perhaps over-enthusiasm on his part, or perhaps his nature didn't fit very well into the position he was elected into? What could make him come into office and take decisions which will be inimical to the party's unity?
Oh, I see. Well, he can be the best person to probably explain. But we thought that his actions were inimical to the party's progress. if anything, he did not seem to go well with anybody, the best person is to seek advice.
That's right.
Because people have served the party for over 50 years and they are still there. So it was necessary for him to call these people to seek advice. But he did not. Whether it was over enthusiasm or it was sheer hatred.
But why would you say sheer hatred? Why was somebody who is elected to perform roles in the party hate the same party he stood on election for and won?
But why should you come, not quite a month, you start to sack people? Why? These were the issues that confronted us.
Yeah.
And we felt that there was the need for us to call him to order. Some of us who were his uncles and fathers
yeah,
decided that, maybe this is a young man. He's never held any office of the party before, not at the polling station level, not at the constituency level, not to talk about the regional level. So it may be as a result of inexperience. So we will need to call him to advise him. Me being one of the elders of the Upper East region, in the company of C.K. Tedam and the former regional ministers of the party from the region, we summoned him with the hope of advising him to calm down, and that anything that confronts him which he is not satisfied, we could be of help.
And did he honor the call?
He did not honor the call.
Was it once or twice or 3 times?
On 2 occasions, he refused to attend to our call. So we felt that, well, let us leave him and see what he can do. But other people were making comments, which we felt that those actions and inactions were detrimental to the progress and success of the party. If this attitude continues, then I think we should forget about power in 2016.
That's right.
Right, so that's Sulemana Yeremia, one of the 2 men from Sulemana Yeremia is from Boko. They petitioned the disciplinary committee of the MPP to take action on what they say was misconduct of Paul Afoko, which eventually led to his suspension. Earlier, we also spoke to C.K. Tedam, who is actually the chairman of the Council of Elders, and he also is of the same position that Afoko was arrogant and refused to heed calls to meet and deliberate over concerns of the rank and file of the party, which appeared to be pulling the party down. Let's hear him.
I myself, I thought, he said, no, he didn't come. He just was indifferent to everything. And we believe that the only way we can do this matter is to let the disciplinary committee take it up upon themselves, because he can't go to the chairman he can't be judge in his own case. And so the justified way was to bring him. And we only asked that he should be disciplined. He should be disciplined. He should be asked perhaps to wait until things are put in shape before he can come in, since he couldn't even go in. The climax of it all was the death of the Upper East Regional Chairman, Adams. And I believe it shocked Ghana, not we alone. And not because we are Northerners, but because we are the fathers and mothers of the new patriotic party. We took it upon ourselves to rally people together to bring peace and harmony. So the simple and the long and the short of it is that we planned to bring peace, but Paul Afoko would not cooperate. He simply wouldn't cooperate. His father was my very good friend. I assisted him to come to Council of State to join us, and we were mates in school. We were very good friends. When he came, I helped him in various ways to settle down. Paul Afoko himself, when he came to Ghana, he and myself and his father helped to resettle him. So I have no ill feelings, and there's nobody who has ill feelings towards him. If today he agrees to reconcile with the party can find a suitable place for him to play his role in the politics. But this one where he will lead all of us into disaster and we talk and he wouldn't listen. I told him at one of our meetings the National Steering Committee, of which I won, I told him, at the National Executive Committee, I told him that he is to cooperate with us. If he does not cooperate with us, he is spelling his own doom.
Right, so that's C.K. Tandam, who is actually the chairman of the Council of Elders of the NPP. So the critical issue is that what is the direction of the party, considering that it does appear that all the elders of the party have, with one voice, backed the suspension of Paul Afoko. I have with me in the studio Malik Dabo, who is news editor for My Joy Online. How are you, sir?
I'm good.
Now, we are worried, especially considering that there is a strong viewpoint coming from the Council of Elders and leadership of the party, justifying why Paul Afoko must go. And Paul Afoko is gone. And then there is also that aspect of the argument where Paul Afoko and his spokespeople and his lawyer are insisting that he's still the chairman of the party and will carry out his duties as such as chairman of the party. This is a crossroad for the MPP. Would you say so?
It is a crossroad. It is a crossroads to the extent that it remains to be seen what Afoko's supporters would do. There are those who I am personally aware of attempts being made to mobilize some groundswell of support behind him to try and help him weather the storm. So it is a crossroad, as you put it. Who will prevail? The days will have to determine. But as you heard, the Council of Elders are clear in their minds that he hasn't helped the party since he was elected chairman. Of course, his supporters will point out that he hasn't been supported.
Or given the chance to function without the friction that existed during his term.
Absolutely. But those who are opposed to him say, before you were elected, you told everybody that you were not a surrogate of anyone. But since you were elected, you have taken decisions that you took without consultation. In the view of the elders and some members of the party, that was a demonstration of arbitrariness, and you cannot lead a mass organization when you take arbitrary decisions without regard to even lay down constitutional provisions and conventions and rules. What the argument now is, his lawyers contend that the processes that led to his so-called suspension were in violation of the constitutional provisions. One of his lawyers spoke to Morning Show this morning. I was on the same show with him, and he pointed out that they raised a preliminary objection after the petitions were filed at the disciplinary committee. They raised preliminary objections challenging the jurisdiction of that committee to sit on this matter. He contends that that was not listened to. We are yet to hear from the angle of the members of the disciplinary committee whether there was merit in this preliminary objection that was raised. And even if there was no merit, why didn't they rule on it? The lawyer's claim is that they didn't rule. At this point, we do not know. We have to hear from the disciplinary committee members whether they indeed ruled on this preliminary objection or not. One of the fundamental questions they raise is, why didn't Afoko attend to all the invitations extended to him? The lawyers contend that, first of all, Afoko was sick when they first sent the invitation, so that was communicated to the committee members. The second time they were supposed to meet, he was sick again. The elders point out that, but he attended a steering committee meeting that day. The lawyer's response is that it is possible to be unwell in the morning and be unable to attend a meeting, and be well in the afternoon to attend a meeting. So that's his response. Be that as it may, they contend further that the third time, Afoko raised security concerns. And he said, in spite of all of these issues, to the extent that the committee members didn't deem it fit to respond to their preliminary objection, Afoko was not entitled legally to appear. In any case, it was civil proceedings. It was not a criminal proceeding. If it were criminal proceedings, then he would have been expected to appear in person. The response of the elders, though, is that the fact that he was sitting elsewhere and sending lawyers was in itself a demonstration of lack of respect for the elders. If he was willing to play ball, if he was determined to ensure there was cohesion and understanding and coherence in the activities of the party, when they invited him, he would have appeared. He would not be sending lawyers. So it remains to be seen where the chips will fall.
We will come back and discuss the impact of this overall on the MPP's chances. But Malik mentioned speaking to Afoko's spokesperson. We got hold of him earlier in the afternoon, and he spoke to Kwabena Chenchehine Boateng. Let's hear that interview, and we'll continue.
Those who were not for Mr. Afoko refused to accept the fact that the man had been given the mandate as the national chairman of the party.
Who are these people you speak of?
I cannot give you specific names, but if you look at post-Tamale, it's a clear case of will not give you the peace of mind to work as national chairman. I don't need to come and be giving you names, because you yourself, you asked me even after Tamale, Bakerings and all that, they were your worst. It means that you yourself, as somebody outside the party, that is what you have seen or heard or felt.
So who could be behind this?
I don't know. I'm saying that opponents of Mr. Paul Afoko, who didn't want him to become national chairman, we have reason to believe that they have still not accepted the fact that he was given the mandate as a national chairman.
Prior to the Congress, many suggested that the flag bearer Nana Akufo-Addo had his preferred candidates, and Mr. Paul Afoko was not one of such. Could he possibly in any way be related to all this?
Those who were against Mr. Afoko's candidature have still not accepted that after Tamale Congress or conference, he became the national chairman, and that he should be given the peace of mind to work.
Does Mr. Afoko still see himself as the party chairman?
Very much so. Why would you want him not to see himself as the national chairman? You think over 4,500 delegates who elected him in Tamale didn't know what they were doing?
So what does that mean? He's still going to see out his mandate, go through, do everything he's supposed to do?
The functions of his office.
How exactly? Because clearly, per that NEC decision, that supposedly has been backed by the flag bearer Nana Akufo-Addo.
Let me tell you, if you are dealing with law, it's not about who is backing what. We have maintained that right from proceedings at the disciplinary committee to the so-called NEC meeting, everything about it was flawed. And we still stand by that. Do you think that you work for multimedia, you don't know me anywhere, and I tell you I've dismissed you, then you accept and pick your bag and everything, then you go?
So will he be in the party office today, for instance?
For what? He's not, please, he's not the head of the secretariat. This question has been thrown about as if you're a national chairman, you are paid by the party, and so you are doing a full-time job.
You can work anywhere?
You can work anywhere. The general secretary is the full-time worker, and the head of the secretariat. So that misconception must be cleared.
Right, interesting views there, Malika. So that's what we were talking about. This is the position of Afoko and his spokesperson. What we cannot verify is really whether indeed Afoko wanted him to come out with this position. But I find this as a bit too confrontational. How do you think this will affect any deliberations or negotiations to perhaps help address the issue amicably?
Well, at this point, virtually everybody who matters in the party has taken a position. The flag bearer issued a statement saying that the decision of NEC should be respected. You just heard Nana Yawase saying that, well, that's the flag bearer's opinion. He does not agree. And he makes a point that Afoko was voted for by more than 4,000 delegates. That is the problem for the MPP. If you go into an election and after you have won the election, you keep looking back and telling everybody that, look, I had an emphatic endorsement in Tamale, and no. The people who voted for you because they wanted you to do a job. Of course, if there are some people who are frustrating you and they're not allowing you to do your job, what I think that the party should have done long ago would have been for the National Executive Committee of the MPP to call an extraordinary Congress.
So go through the process of removal and impeachment.
You know, but you see, they were afraid that that would have led to a bit more bleeding in the party. But I think if they did that, it would have helped. At this point, Afoko is going to challenge this. The lawyer said He's yet to determine whether he's going to appeal the decision of NEC. Of course, the party's constitution says he has 21 days within which to appeal, and that's one of the points that we need to clarify here. If Afoko says he's still the chairman of the NPP, technically he is the chairman, because the constitution says that he has 21 days within which to appeal. In dependency of that, he's so entitled to act as chairman. The reality is, can he act as chairman under these circumstances?
The answer is obviously no.
Absolutely. Can he call any meeting, steering committee meeting, national council meeting, national executive committee meeting? Can he call all of these and have all the other persons come and sit down and deliberate on matters on how to deal with the MPP's problem, on how MPP can prosecute a campaign that may lead to an election victory? He certainly cannot. In the absence of that, I think that the party is suffering a certain paralysis, and the earlier this matter is dealt with, the better it would be for the party itself and for the actors involved. Paul Afoko needs to know where he stands.
That's right.
So that he can look forward to whatever political future he wants to build for
Jeremiah, in an
himself.
interview I had with him, I mean, we'll get to hear the full interview perhaps on Joy News Prime, but in that interview, Jeremiah is saying that this is just a storm in a teacup, and that the NPP has handled stormy issues of that nature, and they will surely overcome
When was
this
the last time
before
you
elections.
remember MPP in this kind of deep crisis? I think that for persons as him in the party, they will tell you these things. They will say that, well, this is a storm in the teacup. The reality is the people out there do not believe that is the case. You are active on social media. You know that this thing has dominated social media discussions since Friday, when the decision was taken. So, and ordinary citizens are genuinely concerned and worried that the largest opposition party is so disorganized that it cannot put its own house in order. What the party is doing is damaging the integrity of its flag bearer and making it difficult for him to make any coherent campaign going forward.
But even if he went out to rally people to vote for him in 2016, you know, call people to support his vision, etc. Like Jeremiah was telling me, people should look at what the flag bearer is doing and forget about what is happening in the backyard. Is this realistic?
It is difficult to do that because all of us know that the presidency is an executive presidency. The flag bearership is not an executive position. The flag bearer cannot on his own decide that he wants to work with somebody or he does not work with somebody. The flag bearer cannot remove any of the National Executive Committee members who were elected for in the conference in Tamale. The presidency is an executive presidency. So if he is elected as president, the party may not play such a big role in what he does. He chooses who he wants to appoint, who forms his cabinet, and who forms his ministerial team. But at this point, he does not have power to do that. But before he gets that executive authority and power to choose who he wants to work with, he must convince the Ghanaian people that he can put his own house in order. These internal wranglings and internecine bickerings only serve to damage the credibility of the flag bearer.
But you don't also share the view that if people are hungry, if people are unsatisfied with the performance of the current government and they want the government out, for example, they wouldn't be watching over their shoulders to see whether the MPP is doing it in settling its internal disputes properly?
You know, it's often said in mundane circles that the devil you know is better than the angel you do not know. So you may put the people, the Ghanaian electorate, in that uncomfortable situation where they have to choose between you and between the people you say are incompetent. If you argue that the people who are managing the national affairs are incompetent, and you yourself are disorganized, you ask the people to then choose between incompetence and disorganization, and which Tarzan describes as chaos. So what do? There are those who would say, look, well, these people are incompetent, let's manage with them. That's what you say. You say they are incompetent, the people may choose that they want to stay with those who are incompetent. You must demonstrate to them that you are well organized, that you can be relied on. Integrity is important. If they keep all of these bickering going on, what they do is chip away the flag bearer's integrity and make it ever more difficult for him to stake a major claim in next year's election.
Now, the elders believe that Afoko was leading the party into a ditch. Would you say, however, that the decision of NEC to suspend Afoko is actually beginning or speeding the process of pushing the party into a ditch?
It depends on how all of this plays out in the next 3, 4, 5 months. If in the next 3, 4, 5 months, Afoko decides that in the interest of the party, he is going to let sleeping dogs lie.
Then that's great for the party.
That will be great for the party. if he decides, as he's demonstrating now, and if he listens to the hawks in the party who say, don't accept it, don't agree, fight this injustice, this is unfair. In mass organizations, you may win as an individual, but the collective will lose. What purpose does it serve Afoko if he wins the battle that, okay, the constitutional processes were not duly followed and that he still remains a party? But by the time he would have asserted that right, whether in a court of law or within the appeal processes of the MPP, he would have damaged the integrity of the party to the extent that the party cannot win an election and the party loses. What would he have gained? Unless, of course, he has some hideous agenda, as it is being alleged, and I don't believe that. But unless he does have that agenda, I do not think that it is in his interest or in the interest of the party to pursue this matter in a manner that will dent the integrity of the party.
Right, Malik Dabo, we're grateful for your time, and this is where we bring to a close today's big story. My name is Stephen Enti, and thanks for making time with us. Please enjoy the rest of our programs.